Thanks for joining us this week. I'm joined by Christina Dean. She's one of the parents and volunteer leaders in our ministry. Christina, we live in just a very high pressure society, especially in regards to academics. How have you kept a balance between being too overbearing as a parent, but still challenging your kids academically?
Well, in my personal experience, I already feel like the high pressure academic system our kids are in is already overbearing. And there's been this underlining message, that you're not good enough, you don't measure up, you need to work harder. And a lot of their identity is placed on their grades and their performance. And so students, they don't measure up to this unattainable scale, I feel. And they feel like a failure. They feel like they'll never be good enough. And it's so discouraging to teens who just want to feel accepted, loved, and they belong. And in my life, I have one child who's incredibly hardworking, straight A student, like the perfect kid, and who really wants to achieve success. And it's perfect on the outside, but like on the inside, it's just struggling. It's this tightrope of between success and failure, and so much fear of losing that identity. Like, I'm a smart kid, but I could lose it anytime. That fear of failing. And so you have on the outside this kid, oh, it's perfect, but on the inside, it's like she's dying. So, but then I have another child, the opposite spectrum, and this child is school is so hard, focusing is hard, workload is overwhelming, and the maturity has to catch up a little more with that academic expectation, and school's a beating. But it's funny because you will say, heaven, there's no pain, suffering, and then he'll say, and there's no school, mom. I'm like, yeah, there's no school in heaven. You got something to look forward to. And this kid fights every day with this message: you're a failure, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. And so motivation can die when you feel that way, and you'll never reach the mark. So have these two different kids to help. And I think I've learned to focus their identity in God, not their grades. And grades don't define you, they don't define who you are. And one child has more talents than the other. It doesn't mean they're better. God's blessed them a certain way, and one might have five, one might have one, and that's okay. And so having these unrealistic expectations on them to achieve success, according to the system, is too much. It's overbearing. And so how I deal with it is I tell my daughter, you got a B in chemistry. Like, normally that's like not good enough. I'm like, hey, good job. Don't beat yourself up. That's amazing. You worked hard. Be proud of yourself. You got a B. That's awesome. And then my other child, I'm like, you got a 17 math. You just made it. Yes, you did it. We do a victory dance. We celebrate. So I never will compare them between each other. Never compare them to anyone else, because God made them, with the talents they have. And comparing is crushing. I never do that. I've learned to never do that, and just teach them your identity is in Christ, not your grade book. Do your best, and God will help you through, to be successful in life. So
Yeah, those two things, identity in Christ and not comparing, I think those are huge, Christina. And this goes beyond academics. This
mhm.
is for sports. This is for
Yes,
any kind of extracurricular activity that your
yes.
students are engaged in. And so, parents, I hope you're encouraged by that. Christina, thanks for sharing.